Hi guys, David Jenyns here from the SEO Method, and very excited today to be joined by Eugene Ware. And I don't think many people know this guy. He's extremely underground, yet he's been around for as long as I can remember in internet marketing, but always behind the scenes. Very early days, he got started with, working closely with Ed Dale and did some stuff where they built up a web development company, and then also helped develop, I suppose, the precursor to the underachiever method, which was called the cash flow machine. And that's where I first sort of found out about Eugene's work, and that sort of like evolved into the whole underachiever method with Frank Kern. He really has been in information marketing for a long time, helped consult a lot of IM gurus, especially here in Australia, helped sort of build up and manage the propertyinvesting.com. I think it's .com.au. That was for the whole Steve McKnight sort of information marketing side of things. I suppose to cut a long story short, Eugene really knows his stuff, and he's more well known at the moment for the work he's doing with Market Samurai. He's pretty much one of the main guys over at Market Samurai, and I thought it'd be awesome if we could get him on the phone and quiz him about SEO and what he does with his business and SEOing it. So I'd like to welcome you to the call, Eugene.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. We'll just dive straight into it. I've got a few questions I want to ask. I suppose straight off the bat, and this is a particularly broad question, when you're first starting a new website, what are the sort of steps that you take to drive traffic to a website? Where do you start, and what's the process that you go through?
I guess it's sort of a bit of a mixed question. I mean, I like to talk about people having online assets. So online assets being, products and content and links, the number of people on your prospect list, your customer list, your joint ventures, your partners. And, the answer to that question really depends on taking a look at your own asset base, wherever you are at, and looking at what's most appropriate for you. So for me, if I was launching a new site today, I've got a very large database. So, my first stance would be to actually, email my database, about that and drive a lot of traffic that way, and then probably go on to talk to some of our partners, promote us, and do it that way. But that's speaking from me personally, where our business is today. Saying that, over 14, 15 months ago, the current company I've got, Noble Samurai, didn't exist, and I had one or two things on my asset list, which was I knew a lot of influential people in the marketing world, and so from that perspective, my first port of call was to try to do something with them that would be of interest to them, that they would promote to their list, and then of course be able to build my list up as a result of that. So that's me personally as a company, from the perspective of someone that's starting out with potentially nothing, so no large leverageable relationships or no list and those kind of things. Then I certainly would think either going the SEO route or the AdWords route to start generating some traffic and therefore start building a list is where I would definitely start looking at things.
So I suppose one of the key takeaways I got from that was the importance of building or looking to what you've got for what assets, leveraging off those, sort of work off where you're already strong, and then look to build a list. And you did mention pay-per-click as well. Let's say you were sort of starting out or even consulting with someone. Where would you suggest they start with, either pay-per-click or SEO?
Again, the answer to that question is purely based on your asset base. Now, if you don't know what you're doing in AdWords, you are going to be very poor very, very quickly. You're just going to get eaten up. You're going to waste a lot of money learning to play the game unless you know what you're doing. So I certainly wouldn't necessarily be telling a beginner to do the AdWords thing without having a very, very strong, training or a strategy behind doing that, or certainly, at least buying some really good courses out there teaching you how to do it. Saying that, though, I think there is no faster way for someone to test the market, even if they lose money, except via AdWords. So if they're looking to dip their toe in the water, and I'm a big believer in testing a market, then AdWords is fantastic. And whether you're starting out or you're not starting out, and you've got some online assets behind you, AdWords is certainly a very, very quick way to put your toe in the water. Saying that now with some of the SEO methodologies that are around, today, it's very, very easy to, if you know what you're doing, to build up, to actually dominate a keyword very, very quickly, sort of in a matter of, days to weeks, depending on the strength of competition around the keyword. And so it really depends on what your time horizon is to actually get a result. If I wanted to know in a couple of days, I'd probably go the AdWords route. If I was happy to, play around for a couple of weeks and wait for the results to come in, then just trying to throw up a site to SEO some keywords to get some traffic to test the commerciality of that traffic is certainly something I would take a look at doing too.
With, I suppose, both of those, then it makes it sound like the first place you're starting is your keyword. Well, you mentioned market research, and then I suppose keyword research flows on from that. And I know that's a real strong point of yours. For the keyword research, what sort of process do you go through for, and does it vary between your pay-per-click and SEO, but what sort of process do you go through for identifying what keywords to go after?
Yeah, okay. Well, the same principles apply from AdWords and SEO in that, I think there's a number of things that I look for a keyword, and one, and most people, they make all these mistakes, and, we've sort of coined the phrase, there's these 3 golden rules that you need to get right when picking a keyword. And the first is you need to pick keywords for traffic. And while it seems really, really obvious, most people, if they just randomly pick a keyword, will just have such abysmally small amounts of traffic around them to not even be worth your time to do anything about it, unless you've got some sort, you want to do this across tens of thousands of keywords. So finding a keyword with traffic is really, really important. And until about, 12 months ago, there was actually no real good way to actually find out how much traffic a keyword had, because Google kept a lot of information to itself, and we had to use other services which really only extrapolated a small subset of that data too. So, in other words, we had very, very poor data until very recently. So now we can do that and find those keywords which have the traffic. After you've found the keywords have the traffic, the next thing is, and this applies equally as much for AdWords as it does to SEO, is that you need to be able to pick off a keyword that has an acceptably low level of competition that you can actually realistically compete. I mean, the number one mistake I think most people make, is they pick a keyword that's just too tough for them. If they're starting out from scratch, there's no page rank, no links, and then it's not to say you can't get any result, but you are limited in the result that you can get in a small window of time. So you need to make sure that when you're going after a keyword, that you can effectively compete for that keyword. And otherwise, and I think Guru Bob talks about this a lot, is that it takes exactly the same amount of work to succeed as it does to fail. So you can do all this hard work, all this optimization, all this link building, but if you pick the wrong keyword and it's just too hard for you, then you're stuffed. So, so you need traffic and you need competition, and then low enough levels of competition. The third thing you need to check is the commercial value of the keyword. And this is something that really, it blows my mind that no one really talks about this, and I can really speak from very personal experience, that this is a real valid way to look at the market. But you need to make sure that the keyword that you're picking has commercial value, that there's evidence of people selling something, hopefully something similar to what you're planning to sell. You want to see evidence of people spending money in that market, particularly advertisers in that market. You need to make sure that the people that are advertising, taking a look at their business models and making sure that, that there is a long-term business model in it for you if you're going to go into a market. And there are ways of measuring that. And, a lot of people seem to order the keywords that they'll pick off first by how much traffic they have or how little competition they have. But very few people just, make the obvious thing and say, well, hey, I want to pick the keyword that's going to put the most money into my, into my pocket in the shortest amount of time. And for me, that commercial value filter is really, really important. And it's a range of really cool ways that you can measure that these days as well.